Hey y'all, this is your girl BMORE and welcome to the Dummies Cauldron.
Hey, this is your girl BMORE, and today we are going to talk about our rising signs, our sun signs, and our moon signs. So here in this part, we are going to be going over the zodiacs and how they're impacted by this new moon that we had in Gemini on the 26th. Yeah. So we'll be going over that. If you do not know your date of birth, just go over your sun and your moon sign, because these are already adjusted to kind of brace for that, if you will. The other thing is, if you need help finding your rising sign, you really can just plug it in on almost any type of birth chart calculator. All you would need is your sun, moon, not your sun, moon, goodness. All you need is your date of birth, your location of birth, and your time. Again, no time, no rising. So if you don't have one, just go with your sun and moon, okay? So we're going to be getting into this. Now, we are not going to be starting in the chronological order with Aries first. We're going to be starting with Capricorn, and we're going to be ending with Sag. And anyone who watch my channel knows that every once in a while I kind of go out of order, so sometimes the people in the back can go first. But that's how we're going to be starting things. We're going to be discussing a couple of things. Here we're going to be getting into where Saturn is and where this limitation and restriction is, and where we have to really understand where our boundaries are and where we have to get just tighten up, The second thing we're going to talk about is we are going to be talking about Mercury being in its Lord. So Mercury is in Gemini, is in Gemini now, and it was definitely in Gemini at the time of the new moon in Gemini. So we're going to be talking about that in this relationship with his other home, which is Virgo. So we're going to be talking about that relationship. What's going to be going on for these next 2 weeks. It's very important that you pay attention to this reading, because once I do, I'm going to be doing a weekly audio talking about the transits just for the top of June. And so when we talk about that and we discuss something called a first quarter moon, you're going to have to come back to this video. Okay? You're going to have to come back to this video so you can understand where the problem is or where the source of this is coming from. Okay? So yeah, the other thing we'll be talking about is Lilith. So if you look over here on the screen, you see that Pluto is in the first house in Aquarius, but we also see that Lilith is in Scorpio around 6 degrees in the 9th house. And so here we have to really understand how our forms of self-expression, our shame, our rejection, our vengefulness is being seen. And Lilith makes a very uncomfortable angle to this new moon. So something in our behavior has to be checked by how we express ourselves in this new moon. All right. So our two major adjustments: Saturn, understanding what is real, what are limitations; Lilith, understanding proper forms of self-expression, understanding where our shame is, where maybe the guilt is, rejection, but also understanding where we could be more feistier, we could be more competitive, we could be fighting for survival, just trying to very fierce. And that is one thing about Lilith. She's very fierce. She's very kind of brutal on the other tip. Outside of just shame and rejection, she can really be intense. She feels slighted. It's okay, here come the claws now. And so we have to understand where we could be a bit more edgy. And that'll save us a lot of trouble. So let's get into these signs. So first is Capricorn. So here, Capricorn, family is really important to you now. your mom can really be the center of everything, your home life. And I will say Capricorn is one of those placements where no one discusses how their moms are usually really off the hook unless something in the chart offsets it. More often than not, people with Capricorn placements, sun, moon, rising, you name it, the mother, something about the mother is buck wild. I've never met one that wasn't. Okay? And so we have two options. Either the mom was very, very loving, or they weren't. And if this is the case, we're either having a loving home environment, or we're learning the idea of family. We're learning how to have a peaceful, loving home environment, how to really show up for people and be those types of things. The other thing is you could be following in the footsteps of your parent. Home security is very important to you, and maybe you can take home with you wherever you go. Now, this is going to be doubly so for the Capricorn suns. Work is going to be very interesting. You're going to be working to manage other people's resources, or maybe a partner's resources. You might work in partnerships, but not in a one-on-one thing. Like they go take care of this, and then you kind of split up and you take care of something else. Another thing is like health can play tricks on you at this time, especially since there's a square to Saturn from Capricorn, because Saturn is now in Aries. So health can look a little wonky. Health can look like we have low energy, we have low vitality, we're catching colds, we're catching flus, aches and pains in my bones and my teeth and the gray hairs, everything. Okay, so health can really play tricks on you. So one day you're good, and one day it doesn't feel as good. So I want you to just make sure you slow down and just be reasonable and take care of yourself. The other thing is sex really plays a really important role. And so maybe you seek it out almost on a daily basis, and you may even do anything to get it. You may do anything to get it. The last thing I would say about this little section is there's a thing about research and investigating that you may do on the side, or you may do for charity, like to help someone out, to like offer this service to someone. You know, and that might be something you do. Now, you may meet a partner at work. You might go into business with this partner. Maybe you date someone and then you go into business. Who knows? But the idea is you like to work in partnerships with someone. You also like to give service, either in the idea of maybe legal or like some type of counseling. You could be attracted to someone with like health issues, whether it's mental or physical. And this is specifically for people who have hard aspects here. Now, if this doesn't apply to you and you don't feel this in your heart, then you don't have it in your natal chart. And I'm not talking about transits, I mean in your birth chart. If you have malefics with this combination, like a 7-6 combo, then you feel like life is all work and no play. Like, I'm partnered with these people, I'm married to this person, I'm working so hard and nothing, like I'm not getting anything, nothing is really benefiting me, blah, 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 blah. Yeah. So here the new moon happens in your 6th house. And so this is really good to apply or begin new jobs. You can have good relationships with your coworkers, with your boss. But I would keep your ego in check and just really play nice. This is good for starting new exercise or health routines, which is going to be really, really needed at the time, especially since, you know, you kind of got some like wonky health issues going on. You can get a new pet, or maybe your current pet kind of takes front and center. This is also good for appliances, anything to do with jobs or service. But the other caveat I will give to you, because the 6th house deals with competition and slander. Be careful what you say to a person. Okay? If it can't be repeated, then it don't need to be said. Now, I should not even really be having to say this to a Capricorn, because most of y'all don't talk like that unless it's something else in the chart that make y'all chatterboxes. And I know, you know what? I'm going to say this another thing. Capricorns like to be chatty at work. They're very social at work. I know that sounds crazy, but it's true. They're very social at work. If it cannot be repeated, do not say it. If it cannot be repeated, do not say it. If you think somebody don't like you, they probably don't. If you started a new job and you feel the vibe is weird, it probably is. Okay? Okay? Great. So I want y'all to keep that in mind, because in the full moon, we're going to have a challenge with energy. Okay? We don't want to unexpectedly make secret enemies, secret competitors, all of this other stuff. Keep that in mind. Like literally what I said, can't repeat. You don't like me, I don't like you. Whatever it is, say nothing. The other thing is, because Mercury is in its Lord, so we had the 6 and the 6. This is actually so surprising. This is so surprising. I'm actually shocked. But it's a Capricorn, so let's get it. You guys are actually going to be slackers this month. I know that people were like, a Capricorn, what? Yep. Y'all gonna be slackers. Nothing's gonna get done. Either that, or there's an idea of working part-time. There's on again, off again work. Not working until later on. There's poor habits forming right now, especially since this new moon is in the 6th house. The 6th house is what we do every day. So there's a poor habit that is forming now. There's flakiness, there's a loner. This also deals with sickness, and again, it deals with pets. Lilith is in your 11th house, and so we maybe want to compete for income, earnings from work. We may want to act ferociously to achieve our desires, like bulldozing over people, not caring. The other thing is, we may get in groups and people start acting funny. They give it like, they try to reject you, they try to play you, they try to get smart with you, or maybe you rejecting somebody group like, oh, I don't want to sit with y'all weird. That could be a thing too. So keep that in mind. Older siblings may be acting weird. They very spicy. They feel slighted. They always just doing a lot right now. There can also be the desires to get back at someone who has done something to you. And there can also be sexual desires, which makes it doubly so. Now, Saturn is going to be in your 4th house, so you do have a lot of responsibilities at home. It's not like you could just run around and do whatever you want, because you can't. And you feel this weird push and pull between home and work, especially I'm gonna really give it to the Cancer, the Capricorn moons. Y'all are really gonna feel like this push and pull like crazy, because Pluto's in the 2nd, and so we're trying to like adjust our values, but also where Cancer sits at. So y'all really gonna feel like this push and pull, trying to get along with people, you know. But there will be some restrictions at home, feeling like there's a lot of responsibilities that we have to do at home. And maybe that's why you kind of conk out and don't want to be bothered either. That might be for a reason. And you feel like you have to do a lot of action, or there's a lot of challenges to things. And you may feel uncomfortable, like you keep having to adjust for a lot. This can make you kind of crabby. Overall, Capricorn, the theme for you is a misunderstood lazy hoe. I'm gonna be quite frank, you know, because y'all can be like avoiding work, and then with you smashing people. Maybe y'all smashing y'all friend groups, you know, people who are friends or associated with people. Lazy hoe. Okay? And maybe you smash in the same group that you friend with. Now the other thing is people try to uproot you from these groups after you started all this stuff, or because they don't like you or whatever. Keep that in mind. Now the other thing, because the 9th house lord is also in the 6th, which is Virgo. Pay attention to this part, because when we come back, maybe like a week or two, this is going to be important. This is one to really center around your everyday philosophy, everyday religion, practical. There's like a practicalness how you approach like ethics. Maybe you're funny at this time. Maybe you want to teach. Maybe you have like a business that deals with like importing things. You work with foreigners. You get calls or messages from very far places. Maybe you travel a lot. Maybe there's themes that you do every day that deals with your dad. The 9th house can be attached to the father. I call my dad every day. I actually live by my teacher, or I go talk to my teacher like once a month. We go out to lunch. Maybe you're a very religious person and you do it every day, but it's such a relaxed, funny type of tone. But overall is the idea of what is a formal education? What have you learned as a formal education? And deep study. What is your father like? What is your personal philosophy? What is your religion like? Also legal things. Having to deal with legalities every day. Because the 9th house gives law. It gives duty. So daily duties that we do every day. But remember, you're a slacker. So this can create a little bit of an issue, because there's already like a laziness that's already creeping in. But the 9th house gives duty and responsibilities, and the 6th house gives something we should do every day, like a routine. So the lord of your dharma or duty goes into the 6th house. We should be doing something every day. What is your duty? What is your dharma? You're not doing it because you're lazy. This is going to bite you in the butt. Try to shape up, Capricorn. Okay? Good luck. Now for my Aquarius risings. I am not going to lie. Y'all low-key kind of giving like Lex Luthor, but if he was mute. Like he don't really talk that much, or he's like more secluded than normal. Like there's something about like you not really talking like that. But it's still Lex Luthor. Like he's still trying to get the bag. He's still trying to do some like crazy big business corruption. So here with Aquarius, you have Pluto in the 1st house. And so now we are more focused on our personal power, whether it be from a subconscious thing and wanting to express it out externally. And so here you may want to like program yourself and be more dutiful in how you approach life. This may deal with finances, relationships with people. But the other thing is like, this can also deal with control and manipulation. Like we are so like tunnel vision into something, we can just outright be controlling and manipulative, or people are trying to control and manipulate us. They can see us as more dangerous or as, more imposing than normal. We didn't have that before. And so since Pluto was in Capricorn from 2008 until either this year or last year, something like that, we permanently went into Aquarius, we've been kind of subconsciously dealing with things, trying to transform and figure out who we are. Now Pluto is in the 1st house, we can feel more empowered, but that also can change how people receive us. Especially if you are dealing with people with generational planets that are in different signs. So like if you're a person who's like, you have Aquarius placements and you bump into somebody with Pluto and Leo, well, that's a boomer. So maybe you guys are wrestling under the idea of power and what's real power. And maybe there's a challenge to this idea of power. If you're Pluto and Scorpio, which make you a lineal, you could be experiencing this as well. Challenges to power, what's real power, how we go to externalize or express power. Are we controlling? Are we manipulative? Maybe. So the 10th house lord is in the first. So Pluto is the 10th house lord. It's one of the signifiers for your career. So a couple of things can happen. You want to work very, very hard to prove like, yeah, I did that. I got myself out the mud. But there's a byproduct of like not wanting to take what you perceive as the easy way out, to prove that you did it. But there's also like an ego attached here too. Like, I'm hyper attached to this. Like, I really did this. Like, I really, it can kind of create an inflated sense of ego. And also, everything doesn't have to be hard. Everything doesn't have to be a battle. I don't actually have a problem. I personally don't think this is a problem that you want to work very hard or like want to say I did it. However, I think we should be wise about what we pick as the battle. Like, everything doesn't have to be that serious. Do you get what I'm saying? And sometimes an easy win is an easy win. Like, we don't need to like make things complicated that aren't complicated. Because like inevitably humans are going to have to encounter something that is actually hard to deal with. Like, it's going to be challenging. They have to like really dig deep and really like, that's just part of the human experience. I feel like we don't always have to bring that everywhere because it's just not applicable everywhere. It doesn't make sense. And so I want y'all to keep that in mind. Aquarius, in your quest for world domination, on y'all Lex Luthor, I really want y'all to think about that. Like, am I overly complicating something that is very simple under the guise, like, I want to say that I did it by myself with no help? No, like, remember a couple years ago, like, people was like, yeah, it was just me. I was shooting it. No one helped me, blah, blah, blah. And now, like, everyone's past that. It's like, everyone needs help. We should be supporting each other. And that's crazy because that's like, what, maybe like 5-6 years ago, like, people was maybe 5, 6 up to 10 years ago, people was like going on and on and on about how no one helped them and they got it out the mud by themselves and blah, 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 blah. And I mean, cool, you got it out the mud, but like, why should I struggle and suffer alone if I can have help and it makes it easier? That's crazy. But I think that a good way to really deal with this is actually find healthy challenges that you can do for yourself. Do not go making problems for yourself, because Pluto is going to be in Aquarius for 20 years. Please do not find, for my Aquarius people, please do not find problems that will last decades. Amen. Please do not look for problems that could last decades. And there's a couple of things I can guess that can last 2 decades, and that could be a problem. It's not that serious. Find something that you can challenge yourself with. All right. So that's number 1. The other thing is you can be more in the limelight now. There's also a strong urge for communication, sharing your views, and travel. But at the same time, because Saturn is in your 3rd house, there's almost like this limited expression, competition, ruthlessness, issues with working together and getting played or feeling slighted. Like, there's also issues with that. And because Mars is in Leo, which is also your 10th house ruler. So one ruler is in your 1st house in Aquarius and the other one is in the 7th house in Leo, because Scorpio is ruled by Pluto and Mars. There's this, like I said, there's a ruthlessness that kind of goes on and hyper competitive. Like, you want to go after your dreams, but you willing to like almost slit a throat to get it. And so I think you need to understand. I think it's good that you understand what your subconscious urges now and what you subconsciously desire. But I think you should also try to understand what your values are instead of being ferociously obnoxious and doing something flagrant. Lilith is also in your 10th now. So then there's a public rejection that maybe you feel like people aren't seeing you. People aren't paying attention to you. People are trying to compete against your career. There's also more sex appeal, which is already kind of like because you already have Scorpio in the 10th house, which kind of exudes some type of sex appeal. But in this case, there's almost like a extension of this sexual aura, you know. Maybe you feel like people are trying to do weird get backs through your career, through your reputation. Maybe you're dressing more sexier because the 10th house deals with fashion. So maybe you're dressing in a way that's more provocative. And having a career or doing something publicly that's seen as controversial forms of expression. And that may need to be tampered. Because again, that's 6 signs away. And then the issues with communication, speaking, the limiting travel, the stifling travel. But something you're doing in your career needs to be checked and limited. Like something you're doing that's just like too past the point. Like it's too far past the point and it's creating issues for you now. You can be caught in affairs with siblings, neighbors, relatives. You can go into business or be responsible for these people as well. The other thing is you can also be pursuing like artistic themes because Saturn is a malefic. So you may be wanting to go after artistic forms of expression. Maybe this can also impact how you're eating, the meals you're having, because Saturn deals with meals. Not Saturn. The 3rd house deals with meals and the 4th house deals with digestion. So maybe there's either like a fasting or some type of weird restriction or something interesting or weird going on with your meals. There could be delays in education, delays in talking, but you're still a reader. And I will say like this low key can make you a bit more funnier. So, just like Capricorn, family is very important to you. And so your mom may have played a central role. Either the family is very loving or you have to learn how to adjust to having loving home dynamics and to feel secure inside. You could be following the footsteps of your parents. Home and security is very important to you. And wherever you go, that's where your home is, because the 1st house lord itself, the 4th house, is home and family and the mother. And so maybe you feel like you have to mother yourself. Maybe home is with you. You're more romantic now. Here you may marry for love, particularly in the face of adversity. The other thing is you can partner maybe in a creative business fashion, but again, there could be some adversity in this business partnership under the guise of creativity. Now, this could be with a lover because the 5th house is with love. It could also deal with children, etc. But there could be some adversity that you're having to adjust for. Overall, creative endeavors are well received by the public. So it's still not bad, but you still have adversity. There could be a love of work and you really enjoy it. There can be love and work mixed together as well. Now here later on, you may find an excuse not to work, or maybe there's a dabbling in hobbies, maybe a dabbling in volunteer work and forms of creativity. Love and romance is your work. And so you love the job that you do. You love the work that you do. You may work with children. You may work with a lover, etc. Now you do have your 1st and your 2nd. And so right now you're choosing your own values. You're unconventional now. And there's a centering of money talks. All you are about big business, Aquarius, which is very interesting because like Aquarius have an easy time making money. Like I do notice that they one of the signs that I noticed that they can make money very easily. But another thing is also true about them is that just as quickly as they make it, they spend it. So like an Aquarius can make, I don't know, just say like they win the lottery and it's like $10,000. You come back like 5 minutes and it's like $1,000 left, and you ask them where the money came from, and they be like, I don't know. But they're going to get more though. But they don't hold on to money. That thing be flying. It come as quick as it go. They cannot hold on to money to save their lives. They can't. So the other thing is, there may be a lot of ideas or conversations around financial upbringing. Like, what was your family's values, or how did they behave around money, or the idea of resources and their own personal values, even if it's not like with tangible resources, but like, what did they value? You know, this new moon is happening in your 5th house. So this is going to center kids, romance, sports, education, any type of social event. So any type of thing that people are coming together to interact on a social level. So whether it's like a concert, a hobby group that people get together for and they all do it together, anything like that, anything creative. It also deals with investments, pleasure, and sex, because the 5th house is like romantic and is sexual, etc. Because Mercury is in Gemini, we have the 5th and the 5th. And so here you are a creative genius in art, music, and performance. There can be varied interests. You're very social, and you really need validation in all kinds of ways. Now you got 2 options. Either kids are very, very important to you now, or they don't matter to you at all right now. So either you're like all locked in with kids, or wanting to have kids or do something for children, or you don't care. The other thing is, this can be a increase of gambling, trying to take risk. Now, the last thing I'll say about Aquarius, your 8th house lord is going into your 5th. So here, the 8th house lord deals with mental strain, long-term diseases, obstacles, but it also deals with your genitalia. So when it goes into the 5th house, it deals with like romantic love and sex. Here we have a glamorization of sex, almost like, I guess you could say like a movie star. Like they kind of have like this aura. You already have Lilith in 10th house, so it's like a very kind of mysterious, like sex symbol thing going on with you right now, Aquarius. You guys are more romantic. Kids are very important. And I do notice like people here, they either change for children. This prompts like powerful change, or under the guise of children, or creativity. So although that this is like all this big money bag talks kind of going on, there's like this subconscious romantic thing that kind of is going on with Aquarius, where they're kind of centering creativity, children, romance, and it's kind of like it's starting to push up harder and harder. And maybe they realize like, you know what, maybe I do want to go sit down somewhere. I don't know, maybe I do want to be a kindergarten teacher, you know. And that's just really how they've been feeling. So they go from Lex Luthor to, you know, Sunday school teacher. And that part is very important at the end, because we will be having a quarter moon in Virgo. And so your 8th house, where is your obstacle? What is the challenge? Is very important. Okay? Good luck, my Virgos. Okay, now for my Pisces. Now you are going to be having more urges to be introspective, to like really challenge yourself. The other thing is, you really choose your own values. You're unconventional. You kind of moving different. You moving in ways like you really ain't moved like before. Like you really just out doing your own thing. You could be also having money talks, and you can also be thinking about how finances and your personal values and your upbringing in your immediate family kind of really impact you at this time. Home and family really take center stage, and especially around the mom. And so here you're going to see if like you had a loving home or if you had a home that isn't loving, and you're really going to work towards being loving. You can really follow in your parents' footsteps. And home security is really important to you. And so your first house lord is self, your fourth house lord is home. So you take home with you wherever you go. And I'm gonna be real, you like between Capricorn, Aquarius, and Pisces, y'all all kind of got that a similar theme kind of going on, at least on that point. But outside of that, like for Pisces, this is kind of like new you, F you, but having to learn limits on your own values. Having to learn limits on these new values that you have now. Pisces. You also have Ketu in the 7th. So there can be relationship issues, but there also can be issues with like being hyper competitive, argumentative, wanting to get the approval and appreciation of your partner, wanting to be more in the public, you know, with your partner, etc. Here you're a thinker, and you're thinking ways where it's almost kind of like, I guess you could say like there's like a almost ingenuity here, and you can tinker around a home. Now, there may be a desire to either fix everything or be organized in the home no matter what. Like, look, I have to get this fixed, I have to do this. Or the opposite could be true depending on how your chart is set up. Or you can avoid chores altogether. You try to get someone else to do it. You could be working at home. This can also deal with pets. Maybe you work with animals, maybe you work with pets. And there's a strong indicator where your mom picks your careers, or your mom had a very interesting or very significant role in what career you picked or what you went with. Lilith is also in your 9th house, and so we have to challenge our own personal beliefs. Maybe we believe in something that's taboo, that like nobody would like believe, or they would not like it. Maybe you have very taboo forms of philosophies and religion. Maybe there's shame and rejection about the father. Maybe we're getting shame and rejection from teachers and religious institutions or colleges or something like that. Maybe you're trying to travel abroad and get information. Maybe there's like, you know, where we feel overslighted and overlooked. Now, the other thing is Lilith does deal with like a sex appeal. And so maybe we could be attracting people of foreign backgrounds at this time. Maybe be attracting people that are religious figures. Y'all do with that what y'all will. People who are like philosophers, they're teachers, you know. Now, Saturn is in your 2nd house, and the 2nd house is values. The 2nd house is personal possessions, and it's immediate family. Pisces, you're going to have to adjust your philosophies, like we talked about in Lilith, you know, adjust your philosophies. But you're also going to have to deal with limitations in spending. How much do you own? How much are you spending? Limitations in what you say, because although the 3rd house is expressing communication, the 2nd house is how your voice sounds. And so maybe we say something that is like a little inappropriate. Maybe we say something that's out of pocket. And we kind of feel like, so what? Because like, I've been through this. I had to deal with this. I don't care. Like, get out my face. Not the nicest. And like over this past, like, I think it's been like at least a year, Chiron has been in Aries, and so it's kind of healing your self-worth, healing and dealing with the wounds of self-worth, healing with and dealing with the wounds of affirming yourself and trying to process what your values are, who you are, process what kind of went on between you, your family, you know, how do you feel about all this? Feeling about home, feeling about mother, etc. The other thing is there can be strong themes around a love of home and a love of family. There can be creativity at home. You could be a writer. Maybe you do real estate. And maybe there's a strong desire to mentor children. This new moon is happening in your 4th house. And so this can deal with relocation, home improvement, parenting, understanding the roles of the home, like what the house needs to really flourish. Also understanding certain upbringings and dynamics with your mom, or like childhood experiences. Now, because Mercury is in Gemini and it's in its domicile, you have the 4th and the 4th. And so home is really important. So you're going to need this time to recharge in the home, set things order, get things organized. You could feel more patriotic. Maybe you want to serve the country, and depending how it's aspected, maybe you think about how the country or maybe how home could better serve you. So like you think about how can I be of service at home, but then you're also thinking, depending on how your aspects are going, how can my home or being at home better serve me? You maybe can also get a lot of success in your place of birth. So your hometown, your home country, etc. Now, here's for the other part, because Virgo is also a place where Mercury rules. Your 7th is in your 4th. And so you really look for security by way of partnerships or security in the public. You may marry late, you may not marry at all. Overall, you can be happy at home, just with the idea of home, or happy with your parents. Maybe you deny marriage due to a sense of duty, like I have all this stuff to do, I can't get married now, I just have to try to work all this stuff out. Or maybe you don't get married due to demanding parental dynamics. Now, the other thing is maybe there's a happy marriage, but maybe work in the public takes you out of the home, and your partner has to sit in the background and really support you how they need to. Okay? But try to put limits on your philosophies. Try to be more open-minded. Try not to lean too much into rejection and shame. The other thing is really watch what you say, Pisces. I know y'all don't like to take criticism, but like really watch what you say. Watch your spending habits. Learn to be frugal. Okay? Good luck, Pisces. Okay, now for my Aries. The theme for this month is a ghetto dreamer that needs to watch their mouth. Will they do it? I don't know. So here, Aries, you have a lot of planets in your first. You got Venus, Chiron, Neptune, Saturn. There's like a confusion going on. Do I know myself? What's going on with me? Soul searching, healing. It's a lot going on. So there is an introspective urge to like just dig deep. You kind of want to, whatever rewards or things they do with your career, you want to really put in that effort. And like, I did all of this by myself. No one helped me. But this can also trigger a lot of ego. There's also a lot more attention on you now. Friends are important, but so are goals. But you can be very, very ghetto, try to bulldoze people, run them over, in attempt to achieve whatever goals and ambitions you have. Learn some tact, learn some manners. Okay? You don't want to try to achieve your goals and then unintentionally make a lot of enemies and people that don't like you. Rule number 1 of fighting: don't make extra enemies that don't need to be there. You and that one person don't like each other, okay, cool. But you and them other 5, why would you want to do a 5v1? That's crazy. You're more social now. Maybe you want to hang out more, socialize. This also deals with children and romance. Maybe you going out on dates, whatever the case may be. You're daring. You like fast things. You're very creative. And there's like a creative form of communication and expressing yourself now. You're good with children. You could be a teacher. This also deals with siblings and neighbors. Maybe you go into business with them. Maybe you do something in media with them. Maybe you see them on an everyday basis. Now, Lilith is in your 8th house and Saturn is in your 1st. What does that mean? Okay. Lilith may be a thing where you could maybe be suppressing 8th house desires. So you may try to, there's like a rejection from getting power or help from other people offering their resources, their power or help to you. There could be some issues in the bedroom. Maybe it's a dead bedroom, you know, maybe ain't nothing going on down there but dust. Okay, who knows? And it's kind of wild to say, because you outside kind of like doing anything to get where you need to go, you know, because Lilith deals with rejection and shame. So maybe we're dealing with shame that deals with that. Like, no one helped me, no one supported me. I didn't like get anything passed down to me that should have been mine, or like through family legacy. My partner isn't supportive. My partner, the bedroom is dead, child. We don't do nothing in there but breathe and get on each other's nerve. You know, that could be the thing. Now, Lilith also has a sexual component. And so maybe the other thing is maybe the bedroom is bedrooming. Okay. But also Lilith is very competitive and very bitchy. So, boom. There's also a psychological component. So maybe at its worst is a adjustment that needs to go on with maybe like a subconscious, almost primitive survival mode that you probably should check. Now, Saturn is in the 1st. And so there's a lot of responsibility, a lot of restrictions, limitations. Maybe you even don't feel well, because in the 1st, Saturn in the 1st can literally give like diseases, aging, you know, body aches, all this other stuff, dental issues, bone issues. So really take care of yourself right now, Aries. But it can give limitations. So you're used to just picking up, going, doing whatever you need to do. And because you have some of these planets in it, like Neptune, it's really confusing. Like, you really can't just like pick up and do whatever you want to do. Like, no. This is a time for you to learn how to work through existing structures. Now, you do have Venus in the 1st, which can give you a lot of creativity, and you can make a lot of money and have things deal with like sexuality and lovers, and maybe even lovers even present you with that. Like, they try to impress you, they want to give you things. But yeah, it could be a little confusing. But with that Scorpio, that Lilith and Scorpio, there can be complications with romance, complications with money, just a lot of drama, just a lot of drama, the unnecessary drama. Now here, how you speak is based on your upbringing, is based on your attitude, these held ideas about who you are and where you come from. Now, you may want to share your ideas with your siblings, your relatives, or neighbors, but it's very, very important whether you want to or not. There's another thing is you could also be raised or live very closely with relatives and neighbors. So like, this is like when people's cousins act more like their siblings, and then people are raised by their aunts. That can also be a thing. They either did that or they lived very close by you. They might be moving close by you. You might be back in close proximity with your cousins, siblings, neighbors, distant relatives, etc. The question is, did you like it or not? Like, do you like it? Did you not like it? It's kind of annoying. Because the 4th house deals with upbringings. It deals with home life, your current home, past home, etc. So that may or may not get on your nerves, depending on the quality of the relationship with these family members and siblings. Because this new moon is going to happen in your 3rd house, siblings, neighbors, relatives take center stage. So does community, events, and projects. This is what's centered around communication of all kinds, test taking, reviewing documents, running errands, short trips, sharing ideas. This is mainly about knowledge gained and practicality of the useful information that you can gain. I know you don't want to be bothered with some of this stuff and you ready to kind of like bulldoze people and you about to be rude. But think about how you can practically take advantage of the information that's gained so that it can improve your life. That's what the Aries people should be doing. And because the third house lord is in the third, this is really good for writing, words, speeches. They are all very potent forms of expression. Ideas and beliefs are very assertive now, but you really have to learn control. Learn not to overtalk people. Learn not to say anything out of your mouth. Learn not to try to push your ideas down people's throats, because like y'all really have very powerful voices at this time, and you have to learn how to like get a hold of it, because Mercury is in your third house. So really try to learn how to get a hold of it and be responsible. Information is to be shared, but also information is also to be managed. As adults, we understand like everything can't be shared all the time. This is why I say Aries are ghetto this month. Learn not to be ghetto. You can't say everything outward all the time. Also, you can't say everything to everybody. Everything isn't everyone's business. And sometimes there's that we can be unintentionally messy because we don't know how to like control what we say. So this is why it's important to understand knowledge. Knowledge comes through experience. Intellect isn't through experience. Intellect is through what we consciously understand was to be true. But knowledge, the difference between the two, between intellect and knowledge, is that we have experience. So as adults, we understand that information should not be mishandled. Because how many times you see somebody say something, let the roach out the bag, and all hell breaks loose. Even if it really wasn't no real bag, like they just either lied, or they misspoke, or they thought they saw something, but so much drama came out of it, or some Pandora box nonsense. Also, for Aries, harassment is a crime. If you keep harassing people with your mouth, that is a crime. Okay. Now, what you should pay attention to is your sixth house lord is in your third. So this is really going to center around media, daily routines, siblings. Maybe your siblings and your relatives can assist you now. Maybe your all of this stuff kind of like centers around work. Maybe you're centering around transportation, habits. You could be more talkative to like coworkers, employees, but this also deals with competition and slander. So we have to be careful that if we're dealing with the third house, it deals with neighbors, siblings, distant relatives, even some competition. We're not making unnecessary amounts of competition. Okay, Aries? Good luck. Alrighty, what my Taurus is, again, you're going to see getting rewards through efforts as being rewarding. There can be a big ego, and you could be in the limelight. This time, you are really learning to rely on yourself. Maybe you can be in show business, you can be a writer, but basically you pull strings from behind the scene. You are really deep into solitude, but you have to be careful of not going all the way into the cave and just withdrawing from the world. This time is really about evaluating, getting your health right, self-peace, but still F you to people. Like Taurus kind of feel like that, like F you. But I also don't want to be bothered though. Yeah. So you're here to develop a diverse of value, like a diverse sense of values. You start to develop a very diverse sense of values. You're very money focused now, and you can make money at home. Whether it's like through the idea of home too. So like think real estate, think agriculture, geology, even through your homeland. So this is the second one I seen, like where you can make money from the homeland or the place of origin of birth. So the first is Pisces, the second one is Taurus. At least for this month. You really want to verbalize and say what you value. And this can come off a certain kind of way. I'm not gonna lie. Because you want to talk about ownership, what you own. So it can be perceived a certain type of way. Because you want to have a money talk. So you want to speak about what you own. Maybe this is a business because the third house is there. So maybe you're on media, you're in media, maybe it's a business. You want to talk about what you can buy, what you bought, what you're going to sell to people. You also can make money from your voice. So maybe this is a singer, music, art, or any type of medium that you can like transport these ideas out on. This new moon is going to be happening in your second house, Taurus. And so this is about material values, how money can bring status, or the status you apply to money. This also deals with your attitudes towards it as well. So what is your attitude towards material possessions? This can bring an increase of income, but I would really suggest you to like save it, because there could be a temptation to spend while the money's coming in. I would say this also can be an up to get ego. Again, keep that in check. Now the second house lord is in the second. So security comes from self-reliance, and you rely on your own resources and your own talent. But materialism doesn't solve everything. Money doesn't solve everything, but finding your true value does. And if you are a Taurus person, sun, moon, rising, whatever you got, if you have not found what your value is, you're kind of moving into a lot of trouble right now. So I would really recommend that for you, because it would keep you from probably emotionally spending any type of little money you're about to get right now. Now for the additional part. Now, because Mercury has two rulerships, one is in Gemini, the other one is in Virgo. Your fifth house lord is in your second house. And so you make money from creativity. You make money from kids, from romance. You can also make money from your values, from speculation. I will watch a little bit because Uranus is, still in Taurus. So Uranus can be a little unpredictable, but you can make money from speculation. But notice I said money from your values. This whole new moon centers around your values and who you are as a person. How did you grow up? What do you think about your immediate family? How can you find your voice? If you don't know any of those things, you're not going to really be able to really tap into this like that. So I really would suggest you to really get into the bottom of it. Okay? Good luck, Taurus. Oh, one last thing, Taurus, before I move on. I forgot because I'm flipping through pages. You can earn money with yourself or through a self product, something that you can produce by yourself. You can change your life, and you can be grounded in money matters and your values. But again, you need to know what your values are. But that whole thing of earning money through something you produce yourself, like a product or something that I make myself. Now, if you have a Taurus placement, think about what you can make yourself and how you can make money. Okay? Not through stealing, something that I can make myself. Something that I value. Again, good luck, Taurus. Okay, I lied. The last thing I would say about Taurus is that you could be kind of rejecting other people You don't want to be bothered. And you may go into seclusion more. Now, we talked about the seclusion part. You don't withdraw too much. But you could be like rejecting other people and you don't want to be bothered. You know, maybe you have a competitor and you have to compete with someone who really is trying to come back on you on some like kind of binge-ish. Like, I don't really like you. And I'm here for blood. You know. Now I'm done. Good luck, Taurus. All right. So for Gemini, you got a lot of planets here. You got the moon, sun, Mercury, Jupiter, all of that in the first. And so again, with the 10th being in the first, you want to get it out the mud. You want to say that I did this. I put my foot in it. No one helped me. There could be a lot of ego and a lot of limelight. Keep your ego in check. This month, we're dealing with I guess I will quote this for the Gemini. It's called My Fair Baddie. But you kind of put your own points on the board. You know, like no one really helped you. And I know I was like, that was so like 16 years ago. But it's actually kind of applicable to the Gemini right now. Y'all actually like really like leveling up. Kind of like My Fair Lady. Like, I don't know if y'all ever seen that with Audrey Hepburn. But she kind of like goes and does this makeover thing. And then she becomes like really noble. And she like really like works. And she used to sell flowers on the street. Anyway, y'all can watch that movie if y'all want to. But it's kind of like that. It's like you kind of work your way up. No one really helped you. You want to assert yourself, you know. You're not the only one, because I seen a little bit with Aries. But they kind of like got a smart mouth with it. But yeah, the third is in the first. So self-expression is everything. You are never at a loss of words. And because Uranus is kind of like in the mix, this is unique, kind of. There can be gossip, chattering. So unique words. You know, sibling kind of coming in. Maybe siblings are gossiping about you. There could be acquaintances, politics, traveling, having to work with your hands. But there's a strong desire to talk about yourself. Now, values and personal experiences kind of go hand in hand. And so what I mean by that is that your values are shaped by these experiences. It's not because someone told you not to do something or told you this is how life should be, or this is how you should think, or this should be important to you. No. Your values are shaped by your own personal experiences, which can be good. Now, the other good thing is because this is your second house lord, you can make money by your own efforts, by your own self-worth. These things can be heavily linked to your childhood. Maybe you had forced values set on you where you were forced into self-evaluation, and maybe there's only two ways it can go. You either understood your values very early, or you had the forced values part, where values are forced on you. You're forced into self-evaluation, and that part really depends on your own chart. Now, Lilith is in your 6th house, and so there has to be some adjustment in how we deal with every day. There's going to have to be some adjustment in how we deal with food, digestion, our nervous system. There's going to have to be some adjustment in how we deal with enemies and slander. So people, maybe they might be trying to slander you. They be trying to compete against you. But again, Lilith does deal with competing and winning against enemies. Now, you do have Saturn in the 11th, which is pretty good. And it's not a bad placement for Saturn to be. So you could probably earn quite a substantial income from your career. Now, this new moon is happening in your 1st house. The Taurus new moon last month, that happened in your 12th. Here, this is happening in your 1st, where change, appearance, habits, beginnings, maybe starting new health regimes, hobbies, rise in popularity. They all could be happening for you now. Like, you really pop in. No one has an issue with you. But I will say this. You need to weigh your strengths and weaknesses and how to use them properly. What is your strengths? What are your weaknesses? How to use them properly. You need to get into some self-understanding. And because the 1st is in the 1st, because Mercury is at home in Gemini, there's a self-motivation, a self-interest, at worst, an ego. So be careful with that. But being concerned about your appearance, trying to create your own conditions. Now, these conditions can be good or bad. It really just depends on what you're trying to do and what you're making. But shaping your own conditions. Now, this is only two ways, this little second part. Either you had a very happy upbringing or not. If you did not have a happy upbringing, this transit kind of helps you to overcome any type of poor behaviors from the upbringings, and then you're happy. So two options: either you're happy, like, you know, you had a very proper childhood, like, you know, it was age, everything was appropriate. If it wasn't appropriate, you overcome these behaviors that limit you in your childhood or from how you were raised or whatever, and then you're happy. If you're not doing that, maybe you should explore that, Gemini, because you do have a transit where you can, like, if you feel like something isn't plaguing you from your childhood experiences, you know, you can really push past and really grow as a person. So think about it. All right. Now, for your placement in Virgo, because that is the second ruler, your fourth is in the first, and so a parent could have had a very deep impact on you. Maybe you inherit real estate by way of family. And a lot of this how you were raised, and a lot of how you were raised can really sustain you through hard times and the good times. You know, particularly like how your parent raised you, the upbringing, it could be sustaining. Okay. So your main thing is home, how your family raised you, inheritance, particularly inheriting land, ancestral lands. Because the fourth house is like a homeland. There's a strong connotation about homelands, home, family, mother. Who are they? That I keep kind of like seeing pop up multiple times. But for Gemini, there's a strong connotation around getting something from the homeland, from the place of birth, the origin of birth, or by way of your parents leaving a home to you. Okay. Now, all I would say about Gemini is just make sure you be careful. We're not making unnecessary enemies. We're not starting slandering. We're not doing all of that. I do love that you're like focusing on your money, your goals, what you want to do every day. You're trying to get your daily routines together, and I love that. And if you're not, and you have Gemini placements, you should be doing that, because that's the best way to kind of deal with this energy. You got all this motivation, all this drive. Go out and do something with it, but be practical. Okay. Good luck, Gemini. All right. Now for my Cancers, you are learning to rely on yourself. Maybe you're in show business. Maybe you're a writer. Maybe you're trying to pull strings from behind the scene. You could be really deep into solitude, but you should be careful of not withdrawing too much away from society and away from the world. During this time period, you can make money from behind the scenes. You can make money in private. You can make money in institutions like hospitals, psychiatric facilities, jails, and stuff like that. Your values are linked to your subconscious, and alone time can really benefit and boost self-worth. They can be also a boost of self-worth after therapy or some type of self or psychoanalyzation. Strength and weaknesses can give you value. So if we evaluate our strength and weakness, that can also give us value. The overall trend I see here is there's like a secluded, suppressed power here. And that's kind of like what I'll say as the theme for Cancer. There's something secluded, but it's also suppressed at the same time. It's not like a power that's by itself. There's some type of suppression, and maybe this is, like I said, is like it could be a subconscious or psychological thing or not. This new moon is happening in your 12th, and so confidential information can be leaked. I would suggest for Cancer placements to review the past 6 months, prepare for the new moon that will be happening the end of this month in your first house, and go over everything that's happened. Who's a friend? Who's a foe? Who don't like you? Who's riding for you? Etc. Strengths, weakness. Now, either you or someone close to you could be hospitalized or placed into an institution. There's a hidden side, intuition, or deep desires or talents that come out at this time. This can also trigger secret enemies, foreign matters, and desires, secret fantasies appear at this time. Now, you do have Lilith in the 5th, with this maybe could be taboo forms of self-expression and sometimes of the sexual variety, issues with children, issues with romance, issues with speculation like the stock market, gambling. But you also have Saturn in the 10th. So there can be a lot of duty, responsibility, home versus work. Feeling like you're overworked and overstimulated with all these responsibilities that you have to do. I would tell you to be very careful with this 12th thing with 12th house new moon, because sometimes it deals with secret bedroom pleasures and you already have Lilith in the 5th. So there's already a lot kind of going on with y'all. Just be wise, okay? Now you have 12th in the 12th. And so this is a well of strength. Maybe there is a misunderstood subconscious. So maybe the subconscious or what you think is like a suppressed side of yourself is misunderstood. Maybe there's misunderstanding of your motivation in life. Maybe there's a misunderstanding of your needs. But the good thing is even though like when you try to consciously try to understand yourself, like what is my subconscious needs or who am I under all of this? When you are locked into like a very primitive state, you understand what it is very clearly. And I think that's the most important. Like when you in like a do or die situation or like your back is against the wall, Cancers, you understand what I need, what's my motivation, who I am underneath, which I think is kind of funny, but I'm going to leave y'all alone. I'm not going to like push too far into that, but you understand very, very clearly. But like trying to do it in a chill mode is a little hard. Now, what do I say? Not do it at all? No, because you can still get positive results this month from trying to understand who you are on the subconscious level or analyzing your behavior or trying to make improvements on the subconscious front or understanding what your needs, desires, hidden sides of yourself. Yeah. But still, it's still kind of funny. Here we can meet our undoing and our inspiration all in the same 12th house. So what is our limitations that we need to understand? But also, where can we find inspiration? And maybe Cancers get inspired this month. Also, Cancers tend to be very smart. They can be very, very smart if they stop being like too overly critical with themselves and others. But they also are like really good at music. So like, I don't know, maybe they get inspired to do something like artistic. Maybe they get inspired to like go do something maybe intellectual. Who knows? Good luck, my Cancers. All right, for my Leo risings, you guys have a little bit interesting things. You have your 1st and the 4th, and then you have the 9th and the 1st. So you're still kind of running on your own personal philosophies. Nobody can really tell you what to do. And then you kind of feel like you can take home anywhere. Mom is important. Again, learning to have a loving home environment and just be good on the inside, or either following our parents' footsteps. But here, I would say the thing for Leo this month is like brave, dumb, A brave, dumb manipulator that we can depend on. I know that sounds crazy, but it's true. That's the best way I can say it. A brave, dumb manipulator that we can depend on. And it's like, dang, how can we depend on somebody who dumb and a manipulator? Look, sometimes God works in mysterious ways, okay? But in this case, it's working. So here we're more daring, we're risk-taking. But the problem with right now, Leo, you could be the victim of your own circumstances. Like, you can do something that leads you deeper into danger. Learn how to make good judgments. The other thing is you may care about other people's opinions. And if that's the case, then maybe you should consider what your limits are before making decisions. Friends and older people really shape your personality, so you should choose them wisely. I know you can't choose your older siblings, but you could definitely choose your friends, though. There can be a strong push for humanitarian efforts or to serve some type of organization to help others or to like be some leader in a certain type of way. Now, Lilith is in the 4th house and Saturn is in the 9th. And so at home or subconsciously, we can really be like really thinking about revenge, really bitchy. A lot of shame and rejection that we feel on the inside that we don't talk about. Maybe that's why y'all kind of like running on impulse, so y'all really don't have to like dig deep and think about that. But they also, another thing is like also maybe trying to win over the mother or win the homeland or win home, because that's also how you can see, or like having to compete for the homeland or compete for the mom. This can also deal with hidden sexual desires, because Lilith is kind of sexual and the 4th house is hidden. We also have Saturn in the 9th. So maybe there's restrictions in our personal belief, or like some restrictions or like burden legally that we have to deal with, or even issues with our dad, issues with traveling, some type of restrictions. You can't really go after your aspirations, you know? And those is what we have to adjust. We have to adjust our home life. We also have to adjust our aspirations. Friends and siblings really shape you, but this is also a good time for introspection, self-confidence. I would really advise you to guard against fake friends. I would say the same thing for that's what I forgot to say. I would say the same thing for Aries risings. They should probably, or Aries people with Aries placements, I would be careful with fake friends too. Y'all both kind of got that energy this month. This can also show up as like a behind the scenes manipulator, or someone who kind of runs the scenes from the back for like a group or for group organizations. This is going to occur in your 11th house. So this seems like a lighter month for Leo, where they can be more social. They can deal with friends. They can network, deal with teamwork, humanitarian efforts. But I would tell them to use this time to review long and short-term goals. The 11th is in the 11th, so you could be determined to reach goals, or you could drift from them. You can drift and get a little dreamy, because there's a lot of luck and ease, whether it's through arts or other means. And so this makes it very easy to achieve goals right now. Friendships and older siblings and earnings are really important for you right now. And you can be very sociable, charitable, and called on for causes for you to like, hey, I'm doing this type of organization, or I'm having this, I need you to come out and support. Maybe you do. Maybe you're drawn to controversial or unusual friends as well. All right. Now, be careful, Leo. My Leo placements, please have some common sense when y'all making these decisions. Like, please don't be moving down. All right, because I know y'all think that y'all think y'all extra right, and I keep saying Leo's low key got fascism like they low. If you really delve into the mind of a Leo, they low key fascist. But I'm gonna let y'all breathe. But have some common sense, because you can easily put yourself in a dangerous situation this month. Okay, good luck, my Leos. Alrighty, for my Virgos, Here we have Ketu in Virgo. So there can be a lot of people maybe trying to impress you or trying to pair up with you. Maybe you're a teacher or maybe you're an instructor at this time. It's very interesting. But Ketu in the first can kind of make for headaches, relationship problems, and a myriad of other things. This can really center around medical care in general, any type of care, but medical, prison, church work, psychology, helping other people, and helping self. Learning needs, having to face your subconscious. Maybe work is fulfilling, but the other caveat for Virgos, maybe we're using work to not face who you are. The secrets come out to light. The thing for this month for Virgos, live by social climbing, die by social climbing. No, that sounds crazy, but it's true because they have a very strong energy for that this month. And I just kind of thought that they kind of stuck. Now here we have Lilith in the third. So maybe people are rejecting things that you say. There's an issue with media. There's an issue in communication, issue with siblings, distant relatives, neighbors. Things are not working how we think. We think we have taboo forms of expression. There can be rejection, shame, but there also be competition. Maybe we're competing with people here. We also have Saturn in the 8th. And so maybe there seems to be like some type of limitation we have to do in the efforts to garner other people's power. Because the 8th house is other people's power. The 8th house is chronic diseases that are like long term. The 8th house is also what your partner brings to the table. You know, it can also be forms of sexuality because the 8th house rules sexual organs. So they may have to be limitations to here. But that is a problem because you want other people's power. You want a social climb. You want to rise into the ranks. But the problem is there has to be a limit of how much power, how much we rely on 8th house themes. The second house is things that we value, the things that we own, our own power, our own resources. The 8th house is other people's resources. So if Jupiter and Saturn squares each other, and there has to be a limit because there's too much here. There's too much abundance, and we have to learn how to grow with restrictions. Then the natural course of this would be you cannot rely on other people's power as much as you would like to. So here, you may work for the government. There's some responsibility or authority that you may take on. Maybe your friends help your career, but you purposely sometimes pick these friends with the intent for them to help your career anyway. Hence, social climbing. I'm purposely picking these people to help my career or put me in a situation intentionally. It's not like, oh, I ran into Maribeth and we both kind of like this obscure TV show and we hit it off. Maribeth also happens to, you know, be wildly successful. Who knew? You know, but we clicked, and then I just found out what she did for a living. Okay, that's not what you're doing though. That's not what you're doing. Now, the good thing is you can help them achieve their goals, and depending if the aspects are positive, they will help you meet your goals as well. Now, the other problem is you can rise to the top because this is particularly the moon kind of doing this, but you can rise to the top all to fall again due to unforeseen circumstances, Virgo. Something you would never even guess that would actually knock you right off your horse. And it's going to be very wide. This new moon is in your 10th house. And so through our reputations in our career and clothes, because the 10th house deals with fashion, we seek career advancement. We seek promotion. We seek praise. We seek recognition. We may be contacted by the government. We may be contacted by our parents, or there's an increase of parental responsibilities more than normal. And because Mercury is in Gemini, the 10th is in the 10th. So much of your life revolves around social climbing, proving yourself to others. This can make you unusual because most people don't want to choose random people to prove themselves to. Like, yeah, I did it. Now what? Most people don't care that much. I'm gonna be honest. Like, most people's aspirations aren't that. But not you, Virgo. Not you, Virgo, because you have to have it all. Okay? You have to have it all. Okay? Now, parental and government guidance for your career could also be a thing. Maybe, your mom plays a critical point in your career, your dad, or maybe like even the government. Maybe you work for the government. Now, you're trying to prove to absent people that you're good. So maybe like you try to prove to, like, just say if you had a flaky parent or a flaky supervisor or whatever, you try to prove to them that you're good. I don't need you. Now, this effect depends on the chart. Like, it really depends. It could be a boss, it could be a parent. Again, it depends on your personal chart, but there's a deep need for validation and this like burning desire to have this weird I told you so rival social climbing thing that's going on with Virgo. And some of these people might not even be electing into this dynamic with you. Like, you're the only one electing into this dynamic. Like, I need to prove to this person I'm such and such, but that person might not care. Now here, your Virgo placement, your 10th house, your first house lord is in the 10th. And so here you're in charge. There's politics, there's entertainment. There's a constant need for attention and to be seen. And this can cause a real scandal for you. So learn to handle yourself well, and maybe you can accomplish an actual form of leadership. And parental roles are important to you, whether it be your own parents or just you being an upstanding parent yourself. I do see that. Like, I don't see y'all being like flaky parents unless something in your chart is like kind of like after them kids a little bit. But the attention seeking and needing, like, I really did that, and to shut something down, I'm like, my goodness. But like I say, you live by attention seeking, you die by attention seeking, particularly for you, Virgo. Okay? Because it's the rise and the crash for me. It's the all right. Good luck, Virgo. Alrighty, for my Libras, you are a real people person, more than normal, because your first is in the 7th, because Venus is in Aries. And so you need the appreciation and approval of others. And if you don't get it, you might get competitive, you may get argumentative. But the good thing is, this is great for sales, great for mediating. So after you start all this trouble, you can kind of patch it up. Good for PR. People like you, and you like people, and you're rarely alone. You really want and need a partner. Now, this can imply an early marriage. And at worst, this can mean you can like get very upset easily, which means that you're single a lot. But again, you still really want a partner in marriage, so that will really make you unhappy. The theme for this month is a popular rule breaker. But is the rule breaker the teacher or the student? Maybe some rules are meant to be broken. And that is something that Libra is here to teach people. Lilith is in the 2nd, and so maybe you say something that's taboo. Maybe you own something that makes people want to compete and rival over. Maybe people are attracted to the way you speak. Maybe you say something out of spite or vengefulness. But Saturn is in the 7th. And so again, this could be seen as like limitations and delays into relationships and partnerships, which can be tough on a Libra because they would like to partner very quickly. But the other thing is, when Saturn goes into his 2nd, people are highly committing to you. They're locking in. They agree to the commitment. And that could be something you desire if you stop being a perfectionist and accept people for who they are. But that's neither here nor there, Libra. I'm not here to come for you, about the image that you have in your mind that people should live up to. But if you kind of date with some realistic expectations, or you kind of look for partners, whether they're romantic or not, this could be good. So this month, you'll seek friends with the same morals or ethics, the same background. You can also seek friends from foreign places. Now, you can have goals in education or the legal field or ministry. You can also be friends with your in-laws. Here this month, ego meets philosophy. And so you rarely compromise on your ideas or ideals. This can deal with traveling, flying, and specifically teaching in a field that you are an expert in or what you are already successful in. This also deals with publishing. And so when you're on social media and you write a post, that's publishing. Like, for instance, if you go to YouTube and you about to hit a post or something, in a corner, or like do the video, in a corner it will say published. So even when you on social media and you like make all these posts, you putting up stuff, that's publishing. It's publishing. So pay attention to that. This month, this happens in your 9th house. And so long-term planning is really important. You can receive news from afar. Maybe it is good news. Maybe travel. Maybe there's a travel experience or where you get to experience different cultures in general. You also have run-ins with in-laws, the law. Maybe you get like jury duty or something like that. But overall, there are challenges to your ethics this month and to your religion, which forces you to examine yourself and search for truth and knowledge. Are your ethics actually based on something? Are your morals based on something? How sturdy are your religious beliefs? How well is your relationship with your dad? And because the 9th is in the 9th, this might be a tendency towards law breaking. Maybe you break your own views, your own religious thoughts, or your own philosophies about life. Maybe you feel like, you know what, I have to just change this all up. Now, this could be good or bad because sometimes people be breaking law for real. So these are lawbreakers. These are teachers, fathers. You want to tap into the same wavelength of the communication of the people that you teach or that you want to share these ideas with. Overall, the theme for this month for Libra is about exploration. Now, because your 12th house lord is Virgo, your 12th is in the 9th. And so this deals with religious leaders, travel, law, foreigners, dreams, and the subconscious. But this can also unravel you, and there can be a strong desires and enemies start to bubble to the surface. Maybe secret enemies pop up. Maybe secret enemies move and make these ideas around the law. There can also be an unraveling or a loss of self around the idea of foreigners or unfamiliar settings and people. The 12th house also deals with dreams and sleeping. And so maybe the dreams become very, very prophetic at this time. Maybe you get like a vision, something kind of pops into the psyche that's very powerful, and it kind of gives you guidance at this time. Okay? Good luck, Libra. All right, now for my Scorpio rising, Lilith is in the 1st. So, like we talked about the last time, you're very self-motivated and interested in your own thing, your appearance. This can be a lot of ego. But the conditions that you create because you're so interested in what you have going on, it's either good or bad, and you only have yourself to blame. Now, you can have a happy childhood or a rough childhood. Now, if it's a happy childhood, woohoo. If it's a rough childhood, Scorpio, you can use this time to overcome any poor behaviors from your upbringing and make positive change. Okay? Now, your 1st is in your 10th, so you're in charge now. This can center around politics, entertainment, but there's a need for attention and to be seen, and that can cause a scandal. Learn to handle yourself well. Learn proper leadership. Parents can play an important role. Now, your 1st is in your 4th, so home life, family life takes a front center. Maybe it is the mom. Maybe you follow in the mom's footsteps. Home security is important to you, and you want to take that wherever you go. Either the mom was, like I said, loving, or she was a piece of work. Either or, you're learning from that experience and you're using it to improve your life. Now, this month for Scorpio, I would say the theme for you guys is sexy attention-seeking witches. Hell may care. Now, have you ever heard the saying of hell may care? It's kind of like, I don't care. Like, F it a little bit. So, here, Lilith is in the first house, which is really about also just being rejected or shamed outright, but also competing or being seen as sexual or sexy. Saturn is in your sixth, so there has to be more discipline around daily routines and tasks, So we have to limit what we do every day. Maybe we have to take care of our health. Lilith is in the first, so we have to limit what we start, what we begin. All right. And just like Leo, you're really going to have to be careful of what we agree to and what tasks we undertake. Because you can be more daring now. You can be a risk taker. But you also can be the victim of your own circumstances that lead to more danger. Learn good judgment. You may care about other people's opinion, and if that's so, then you need to move accordingly. Maybe your friends and older siblings shape your personality. Learn to choose them carefully. You're a humanitarian now, and you serve an organization or help others or lead in some type of way. But the main thing, Scorpio, is learning to have some common sense. Just like Leo has to learn how to have some common sense at this time. You can receive support from the public and partners, especially if you deal with something that is a public commodity, like you offer something that the public will want. This is perfect for careers that need this kind of support. So think politicians, think playwrights. They have to get their campaigns funded. Playwrights have to get their plays funded. Now, other thing is you don't have to work for a living. Maybe you have a career in charity. Also, the money that you and your partner make is good for both of you to live on, or the partner left enough money that y'all can relax. Now, the philosophy that you have this month, Scorpio, is connected with the occult and metaphysics, which is really not shocking because that sounds like some Scorpio mess anyway. But you want to get into the deeper mysteries of life, and you're more intuitive and perceptive now, which can be useful for decision making. That should slow down some of the nonsense y'all have kind of going on with all this troublemaking and delving deeper into stuff and not having no common sense, which can get you into trouble. But we'll see. This is occurring in your 8th house, so family funds, joint resources, spouse maintenance, taxes, debts, partners, income, all of these are important. These are main focuses as well. So is inheritances, but I would say you're more likely if you have like a new moon or lunation in your 8th house, you're more likely to get an inheritance even stronger if it's during eclipse. So if you had an eclipse in your 8th house, that would be even better. But nonetheless, you can still get a raise, you can get a tax refund, or some type of small windfall. Watch your loans, watch your spending. And because the 8th is in the 8th, there is like some public sex appeal and some charisma now. This can also deal with the occult, bizarre events. This can also go the opposite way because the 8th house makes very hard aspects to the 1st house. And so there can be a total uninterest in sex or the occult, especially if in your own personal chart there's so many hard aspects. This also can cause issues with the ruler, which means the ruler of the ascendant lord, particularly Mars, if Mars is poorly aspected. So this means like if you try to like do something with the government, they kind of like all on you. You can't really get away with much because it's like the way it's poorly aspected from the 8th to the 1st house. Now for your Virgo placement, you have 11th and the 8th. So you can inherit from friends, but you also could be uprooted from your social place. Maybe you're the victim of gossip, you know. You either have the choice to learn to stick up for yourself or be had. You know, have people play with you. Friends are important and you can seek support from them. Now, whether you get that support, again, that depends on your chart, on how strong it is. But, you know, you can get friends to support you now. Now, right now, your love depends on sex. And so how much praise or how much people mess with you sometimes depends on sex. You also can need sex too for some type of appreciation or some type of like affirming thing for you now. I guess you could call it sexual healing. This also deals with the idea of death. Now, I'm going to brace myself too for Scorpios. It doesn't mean you're actually going to check up out of here. I want that to be quite clear. It doesn't mean that. But we do see with some of these aspects, it can imply that there could be a severe accident, which can lead to an untimely death. All right. So because the only reason why I added that in, because sometimes I don't even add that. Like there was one time I had did something and it was like one of the risings, like a sibling can croak. That's what it will articulate to, like a sibling could die. I did not add that in because I felt like overall they had mostly some sense. So I just kind of like implied that they should be safe. The reason why I'm being very blunt with the Scorpio right now is because you do have a placement where you can act slow and lack common sense that can put you into danger. So let's not have accidents, okay? Good luck, Scorpio. Now for my Sagittarius. Now for you guys are kind of like, one could argue like a low-key a prude hoe. But you are a people person. You need appreciation, you need approval, and you can also be competitive and argumentative if you don't get it. You know, this is with sales, being a mediator, PR work. People like you and you like people and you're rarely alone. You want and need a partner. This is good for early marriage, and at the worst, you can easily get upset and then you're left single. And I mean at the worst for you because you want a partner. Now, Lilith is in your 12th house and Saturn is in the 5th. And so Saturn, it can be delays and restriction in children, delays and restriction in speculation, having fun. It's almost like kind of like a very serious time at the moment. You know, that much socializing. It's kind of hard to socialize with Saturn in the 5th. You know, hard to deal with Saturn in the 5th. And Lilith is in the 12th. Honestly, for Sag risings, you guys can, or Sag placements in general, you guys could probably have some like really crazy dreams right now. I do notice when Lilith goes into the 12th, but people, their dreams are off the hook. Now here, your partner shares their ideology and they share your background. Now Uranus here, because you have some Uranus things mixed in because of where Uranus is placed. You may even pick people with different philosophies than yours, and you kind of use this to like help sharpen your mental views and your verbal cues too. Like you purposely pick people that you would never agree with just so you can have conversations, and like it either helps tighten up how you feel about yourself, or you maybe like use it to open your horizons. Now, this can also mean that your partners can determine your views as well. So I find it very fascinating. Like you're picking people that, you know, for the most part you pick the same, but because Uranus is involved, these people are total opposites. And you're picking them with the intention, whether knowingly or unknowingly, that they're different than you. So that way they can help shape your views on the world. It's very interesting. Now, the other thing is, you can be sexually prim and proper, only enjoying yourself with committed partners, which is okay. Now here, growth and transformation really depends on your partners, even your opinions, like we talked about earlier. So you may also be in the place where you could be handling your partner's resources. Maybe you're a money manager and you're partnered in some business with someone. You're on a very point A, point B type of mode right now. Now, partners in close relationships are the focus, with a strong need to interact with others, but competitors can try to sidetrack your desires and your hopes. Negotiation is on point if you are open-minded. Learn cooperation. This is a good time for engagements and marriages. So if you wanted to get married, if you want to propose, not bad. It's not a bad idea. if you want to start maybe like some business contract or something, not a horrible idea, because this new moon does give it a little extra oomph. Now for your Virgo placement, you have the 10th and the 7th. And so you have a public career, or you professionally involved with a partner. Your partner plays a major role in your career. And you like one-to-one interactions with partners or the public. So you like to talk. You like these types of close relationships. And so this deals with like the things it could do with like sales or therapy or something like that. And because your 7th is in the 7th, you identify strongly with your partner. You want a meaningful and enduring relationship. At the worst, you can run through people, and you know what I mean. Like, running through people. And it's not necessarily about quality. It's running through people with the intention of quantity. There's a need for public praise and approval. This could be really great for leadership. Now, you can use this to take charge, but there can also be a battle of wills. Now, at the same time, that this is also bringing in like a take charge attitude, battle of wills, but also this weird submission thing, because here in your 7th house, you have the sun and the moon, but you also have Jupiter and Mercury. So you could also be attracted with people with either the same philosophy and people that are easy to talk to. But maybe they're pig-headed. Maybe there's like a mix between being pig-headed, being submissive, but we also have similar views and philosophies, and they're easy to talk to. It's a very complicated thing, because all of these planets are sitting in your 7th house. And so it kind of makes like a relationship kind of like be all over the place. Like one day y'all getting along and it's like an easy chill conversation, and y'all stay up to the wee hours of the morning, and it was like really a vibe, and you order a cheap pizza and you talk about what happened in the summer of 7th grade. And then the other thing is like, y'all can't see eye to eye for nothing, and you kind of like on the floor scratching each other's face. Very interesting. But overall, you really use a partner to help reflect parts of your mind and consciousness that you want to refine. They really help you to show you what you desire in life at the core of it all. All right. Good luck, my Sagittarius. So this is the end of the reading. For my Patreon members, we will be having a podcast talking about the mythology and some extra zodiac that went on with this new moon. And so I'll be dropping that breakdown pretty soon. Y'all take care. Make smart decisions. Bye.